is your March 2025 soul story. If you have a sun, rising or moon in the sign, this is your reading. Thanks so much for joining me on my channel. It's Romy here. We are going to open up for you this month with the energy of the Two of Cups. Now, let's talk about the fact that Venus is going to station retrograde in Aries on the 1st. So for the next 40 days, 40 nights, you are really leaning into yourself. Things are deepening for you. Venus will often bring about choices, and it's clear that something is emerging. It's almost like there's a hidden awakening underway. There's been so much growing and changing within you, and the energy is stirring. Now, Venus will be in Aries through till March 27th and continue the retrograde in the energy of Pisces from that point on. And, you know, you can expect, if you track back 8 years ago, what was going on? What were some of the key themes and choices that you were being presented at that time? Now, so much has changed within you and around you, but there will be some sort of golden thread, you know, some kind of theme that will return, and it will be an interesting time for you to really lean in and see what the cosmic conversation is about. Now remember, this is a time where you get to write your own mythology, Gemini. This is not a collapse, even though we're in eclipse season, and sometimes things do in fact need to go through that process of deconstruction. But this, for you, if you want it, if you allow it, can be this beautiful wild rebirth, and it's a very active time. Now, the Two of Cups and the synergy that comes through with that is trying to bring something in that's a perfect vibrational match for you. You may feel that March holds a lot of obstacles, and certainly it feels cosmically the energy is being stirred up, but that can also create opportunities if you let it. Now, this Aries energy, this fire, serves to ignite things for you, and it's your 10th house, so there may be some focus and consideration around your purpose, the legacy that you're trying to leave, like what matters, what moves you, what motivates you, what's happening in your work and career. And, you know, things are getting lit up. Pay attention between the 3rd and the 7th as Mercury, your ruling planet, shifts into Aries. And then we have the Sun trining with Mars on the 7th. It feels like there's a little bit of a boost in and around that time, and an opportunity to kind of get out ahead of something in some way. Of course, we will arrive at the first lunar eclipse full moon in Virgo on the 13th of the month, okay? And remember, you really have to work to release the self-judgment, the inner critic, you know, all of the things that, you know, are sort of coming up that maybe are telling you why you can't do it or you're not good enough. If you've got a lot of imposter syndrome, you know, there's some things around that full moon that could be highlighting or amplifying it for you. Remember, Virgo will also highlight health issues too, so there could be some stirring, some revelations, some profound insight that's also showing up in a big way. Now, you actually have the 10 of Cups coming through here, the 2 and the 10. You know, there's something emotional on the line through the course of March, but it definitely feels that we've got movement and progress happening. Remember, when Venus goes retrograde, sometimes it gets a bad rap for, you know, how it can stir up particularly relationships, but it may be that you're returning to something, or that you finally have space or time to reconnect, and maybe seeing the value or getting to rewrite something or improve it. There's definitely an opportunity for you to improve the terms and conditions, if you like, the way that things have been when they're maybe not in balance and haven't been fully supportive. You know, the longer that you put up with what is not for you, you know, the more you are postponing what is. And I think that realization dawns on you really powerfully through this month of March, and you start to make changes, and that lunar eclipse will bring in some significant revelations for you to consider. You know, there may be some things going on connected to the family choices and decisions coming through with that 10 of Cups. Again, it feeling quite an emotional time, you know, that's bringing things to light, you know, in the way that it wants to be almost taken charge of in a way. It just feels like you want to get out ahead of things. There's something about you, Gemini, in the month of March needing to be very intentional, right? The universe is listening, and intentional not just being a choice, but really sort of coming through as this new way of life for you. And you know, whatever it is that's trying to come up to the surface, it's almost like you get a nudge or an awareness of it, and you're just the one that brings it into the light. It's almost just like, okay, like if we're going to do it, let's do it. If we're going to talk about this, let's sit down and talk about it. And I think here the Hanged Man can be super supportive. Remember, through Piscean energy, it's a fellow mutable sign. You know, your connection and your communication with the divine, with your guides, you know, with your higher mind, in understanding why things are unfolding in the way that they are, and perhaps knowing that you needed the lessons that you have gone through and maybe you're still going through in order to grow. Now, there's a sort of suspended animation here where it sort of feels like maybe there's some action that's taken and then it sort of halts, or there's a period of then having to wait to see what comes back. Now, we do have the slowing down of Venus. We're also then going to have the slowing down of Mercury stationing retrograde in Aries on the 14th, right around that lunar eclipse. You know, that one is always a little tricky for you as it's your ruling planet. I think by now you've become accustomed to how the way, you know, the best way for you to work with it and, you know, how to serve your energy most effectively. But remember, the Hanged Man here is also indicative that you need to see something in a very different light, and that's why the universe perhaps will press pause or create some sort of block or obstacle or some scenario that gives you the time to sort of almost like catch up with yourself and to be able to see something. It's also, by the way, about a surrender. You know, you've got to stop waging war on yourself. And again, I think that full moon Virgo is going to highlight something that you've been doing. Maybe it's been harmful, just the way you've been thinking about something, about yourself, you know, and almost mindlessly at times, you know, it's just been something that's so familiar to you that you haven't even stopped to kind of think and question it and be like, well, actually, you know, is that really me, or why am I saying that about myself? You know, what story have I been creating here? So this idea of stopping waging war, and that actually you get to surrender in to something completely different, also brings about a big shift in your energy field here. Okay, there's a quietness here as well with the Hanged Man that I quite like, especially considering March is quite a tumultuous month. You know, from an astrological conversation perspective, there's quite a lot going on. We do have Juno, the asteroid goddess, also going retrograde in your 7th house of Sagittarius on the 19th. And it does feel like you're going to need time to go over the details of something, okay? That's very important, because if you're going to sign up or commit to something, you want to know that you're very educated in, you know, all aspects of it. There needs to be that sort of degree of transparency. So I feel like you're being kind of looked after or looked out for in some regard with that Hanged Man coming in, okay? It almost feels as well that there's moments where you think you're just having to do like a round of gymnastics to try to get through things. It's just like the way that you have to bend in the breeze through the course of March might bring a lot of compromises, or just having to be really open and flexible to certain things. Now, we've got our Ace of Cups coming here, a whole lot of heart energy showing up for you in the month of March. As I said, heart on the line in a big way for you, right? In terms of your wants, your needs, your desires, the big dreams and ambitions that you hold, and also this understanding of who and what feels like family. You know, the 10 of Cups for me is always that real sense of just feeling like you're where you're supposed to be with who you're supposed to be with. It's just like there's that sense of deep, deep connection. And remember, when Venus is retrograde, you know, things are deepening for us. And so there's this realization that's coming. Now, the new energy that arrives with that Ace of Cups also wants to be used wisely, okay? Because this feels, as I said, a bit of a wild rebirth for you. So what direction are you going to send it in? Equinox comes in on the 20th, helps us to recalibrate and rebalance. Use this time for your rituals rather than the eclipses, okay? It feels like a very emotive exchange. It feels like an announcement. It feels like the sharing of something really heartfelt coming through with regards to that Ace of Cups. And the beginning of something quite special, actually. But remember, during these retrograde energies, you know, we can also be working with a lot of things that are going to have to be revisited, okay? So maybe promises made or things talked about, and you know, in the reality check moment that comes in when everything stations direct again, you might have a little bit more of a pragmatic outlook on things. Nonetheless, it does feel like there's a lot of good feeling energy that wants to show and reveal itself to you through the course of this month. You know, life is hard work, but it's also luck. But I think there's a realization from you that luck can also be courted. It can be expected. It can be pre-paved. And you have been and you are being very intentional about that. The more you see yourself as a lucky person, as somebody where opportunities arrive and open up, the more things can come into your conscious awareness that match that reality. The sun shines through here, okay? You do get to see how something could be, how it could work, what it could feel like. That's what is almost coming up in this month of March. It's like a taster of something for you, Gemini. Now, because I talk about this idea of this hidden awakening, it may be the taste of a new life, the taste of the new version of you, right? And there's still this hesitancy, right? The Hanged Man, it's just like there's this hesitancy from you. Maybe it's like, is this too good to be true? And I definitely think we have to, you know, come in with a grounded outlook that says, you know, things can happen and shift and change very quickly, you know, in these current times. And so there's a realization to sort of keep that, you know, that open mind and open heart, but also not to push away or to sabotage when things start to show you that actually this is possible, or yes, this is not as good as it gets, it can get better. So I think there's almost a little bit of a test going on for you through this month of March, in a way to really challenge your own story, your own mythology around things, and see what you're saying about the things that are showing up. Well, that's great, but, you know, just notice when you're doing that, or you meet someone you really like, well, they're really nice, but they wouldn't like me, or that's a great job, but I don't have the experience, or, you know, that sounds really good, but, and so it's this questioning and challenging of the why not? Why not now? Why not you? Why not this? Yeah? All the things that you thought you couldn't be or do or have is all changing. It's all changing this year. And you're going to want to get on that ride, but you're also going to have to realize that so much of the things that have been holding you back is this need for control, this micromanagement, this judgment, this inner critic. You know, that's why this full moon Virgo lunar eclipse will be so powerful for you. And remember, Virgo through the South Node, it's what we are letting go of. So we come through to the solar eclipse, new moon in Aries on the 29th. And there's a restlessness in your energy around that time. You're going to want to get moving on something. I can feel it. And again, you know, there may be things that we're going to have to dig deep, you know, within ourselves. It's like, okay, if this is happening, if we're doing this, what's it going to take? What does it mean? What is it asking of me, right? Now, when strength shows up, you know, it says that you absolutely are going to be given whatever it is that you need to do what you need to do. But that doesn't necessarily make the path easy. There's a bravery that comes through with regards to this. But there's also an invitation here with the Hanged Man to say you've got to surrender into how your higher self, your higher mind is guiding you. You've got to find the flow with it. So that bravery feels like the next logical step. That hidden awakening now comes into the light. And the things that are stirring up are just so natural in terms of the way that you're interpreting them and understanding them. Okay? Now, it feels to me that March shows you something that you can have, but it's also going to ask something of you. You know, have you got it within you? Yes, you absolutely do. Now, remember, with both Mercury and Venus retrograde, there are things from the past, parts of you from the past that you're going to want to call upon, tap into, question, sit down and have a conversation with, to explore, because there's value there to be understood. Oh, remember when I did that thing? I never thought I could do it, but I did. Remember when I thought that was it, and all of a sudden life changed so quickly and dramatically? These are the stories you want to pull back into your forefront, through the month of March, because these are the things that are going to help to give you the courage and the confidence and the strength to do what you need to do and take the next step that is being asked of you. It's a power surge. Think of it like that. March has an energy of it being like this enormous power surge. And eclipse energies often bring things in threes. And oftentimes it can happen very unexpectedly and suddenly and shift trajectories all over the place. Now, we also, in big news, have Neptune coming out of Pisces and shifting into Aries on the 30th. So again, there's like more planetary movement that's disrupting the equilibrium a little bit. There's this sort of combative feel, that's arriving with this Aries energy that sort of wants to get moving, wants to get on with things. And, that can be really powerful. Because that rebel with a cause energy, that inner warrior, that fire that you can bring to situations, you can really light things up in a beautiful way. Now, keep in mind that communication can get distorted, that Venus retrograde can cause some imbalance with regards connections. And so, the headline story for you here is this awakening and this challenge and this stepping into a very intentional pathway. But the sub story here is one of, there's a lot of blockages and sort of entanglements and things that feel quite frustrating at times, and that almost at times feel like they're being put upon you in a disempowering way, but it's actually not at all what is going on here. You're going to be able to tap into like an inner creative muse through the course of this month. It's what you do so well, to bring in that variety of ideas and inspired thinking, but act on it. And act on it in a way that, when you allow yourself to sort of perhaps release some of the expectations and rigidity of how you think things should move forward or how you thought they were going to move forward, and sort of lean into what is being shown to you and revealed to you, then you're set to find a lot more joy and lightness through the course of this month. And you absolutely can. But remember, Venus is going to be helping you with choices and deepening something for you over this next cycle. So pay attention to how that's coming up. It's time, but it's not time to settle. It's time for many things to come to light and to be put into motion and to be understood and to be claimed by you. But first and foremost, it is not time to settle. Now, if you're new to the channel, the last 3 cards you're going to find in my extended reading. We talk for another 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes. You're going to see a relationship card and a personal card for you also. I hope you'll join me if it's resonating, just to support the channel and get some further insights for this month ahead. Let's go ahead and just clarify these cards. We'll see the direction we're taking. A lot of love coming up for you this month. Knight of Cups. There's our 5 of Pentacles. I feel like that's some of the past energies there, that you just maybe still holding on to. Right, we've got our 8 of Cups, we've got our 2 of Pentacles. Hanged Man comes in with the 8 and the 5. This is what I mean, these sort of low-level like obstacles that you're going to have to twist and turn and be flexible to get around. But, they're nothing in comparative to these major cards that are showing up for you, right? 8 of Wands. About this energy of the Sun, 7 of Wands. It's worth the fight. It's worth the fight. Devil. There's another Sun. Knight of Wands. That's what I'm saying, like jumping through hoops, right? It's not straightforward at all this month. Nonetheless, that's okay. We can do complicated, right? Of all the signs, you have the capacity to be able to just manage the myriad of different options on the table, or of things that are going on at any given time. Okay, so this is Life Soul Vision Oracle, which is my own deck. So please go check out romywiser.com. You'll find ways to work with me. If you're interested in a personal reading, you'll also find my new journal, my book, Moon Musings, these sacred titles here to support you on your spiritual journey. We've got Enlightened in the Exhale, we've got Solstice, we've got the Spirit Owl, Sacred Secrets, Soul Star Energy, all the S's, Sacred Soul Union, okay, and Full Moon, Soulful Surrender. Does feel for those of you with the focus around love and relationships, you know, there's a lot unfolding in this month of March. As I said, heart on the line, a lot on the kind of table to be talked about and discussed. Use this Venus retrograde, getting clear on what you need, what you want, what you expect, not settling, being intentional. Also, just knowing that you need these lessons to grow. Okay, one more oracle for Gemini. We've got inner life. Your inner life is a garden to be cultivated, okay? Just reminds me of that hidden awakening that we're talking about. Gemini, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you. I hope you'll join me on the extended. Take good care. I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.